haunting since time began. Raw side paranormal seeks the truth, looking for some kind of real proof. Creaking floorboards and eerie dark mist. Grab your camera and document this. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the wrong side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. Orbs rising up to take the magical flight. You can't believe what's happening tonight. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side.
Hello, happy Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining tonight. I'm gonna give my quick hellos to everybody. Shadow Cat, how you doing? Steph, Janice, Susan. There's Miss Susan. Hey, Ryan. Stu, how's it going? And of course, we know Dawn and Joe are here, two of my favorite people. Can't wait to pull them in and get them going. And thank you very much, Shadow Cat. Yeah, the new intro is courtesy of my friend Bill from Carburetors and Coffee. And I got her with the scare. Yeah, I thought that was great just to add that in. Hey, Pop, how's it going? Without further ado, let's join the stage with Joe and Dawn. Hello, you two.
Hello.
Hello.
This is weird. This whole circle thing.
Circle thing. I can't fix it. I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, I have
So,
to fix
yeah.
my camera now. Oh gosh. Okay.
So
I'm looking at the
yeah.
screen and I'm like halfway in there. Oh. Okay. I'll fix
Hey,
it.
there he goes. There's Miss Carla. Yeah, new intro, a new studio. The new studio is up and running. Of course, you can't see the whole thing behind me, but it's it took me a few days, but I got it all together. So, how are you guys doing?
Busy.
Tired. And busy.
That's what I've
Yeah.
been hearing. Busy.
Very, very busy. Oh, there's my evil laugh.
There it is. There you go. Making everybody happy. Shadow Cat goes lame. So, just to let you guys know, please go into my post section on my page. There are polls up for sexy man and woman of the paranormal for the month of July, and Joe is on the list. Vote for your favorites. Joe's like, yeah, well,
You know what? I am not just a piece of meat to sexualize, okay? I have feelings too.
Joe, you don't have feelings. I already
Oh,
know this.
This is, yeah. This is kinda true, yeah. I do lack in the feelings department. That is true.
Shadow Cat said she's already voted. Okay. I'm going to guess she voted for Joe. She's probably not going to tell us, but yeah. Oh, and Dawn is also on the list, guys. She's on the list for the gals. So get over there and cast your votes. We want to see who's going to win by the end of the month. It's going to be exciting. So what have you guys been up to that we kind of don't, already know?
Research. Is that the topic? Research. Yeah.
Yep. So went from researching one thing. Well, I started research on one thing, then I had to just stop because then all the focus had to be on the upcoming documentary Evil on Earth. But also, too, not all of that research went into the documentary, just what was important. So at some point, I will probably do a video on all of the research of the mysterious Monroe House. Probably going to wait, though, until the documentary comes out. So that'll give me plenty of time to get something together, I guess. And then after that, continued on with research elsewhere. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you.
Oops. Damn.
Hey, what?
Sorry.
What?
Trying it again.
Ah.
Damn buttons. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Anyways, look, guys, I'm going to be vague about certain things. I'm going to be upfront. But we will definitely talk about, the research, how that's done, and again, be vague about some of the things that we have found. I will say the other day was huge. And I actually, Don can tell you too, I was like, holy fuck. Oh my God. Like, I was all excited.
But I was like, you're welcome, because
Yep.
here's the thing. And I'm getting off topic, but it's still on topic. But what I have found when we've been researching is that we will overlook some things, and it will take months or even a year later that we'll go back and I'll find some notes and I'll be like, wait a second, I need to look at this again. And it didn't make sense at the time, but then several months or a year later, it makes sense. So I go back. So there was something I had on a notepad that I said to Joe, like, did you ever go to this site and look at anything? And he's like, no, because we didn't need those newer records. We needed older records.
So what?
And I said, hey, go to the site. And we went at the same time and we started just typing in stuff, and we found gold. And we're like, wait a second, why didn't we use this before?
And the reason why we didn't is because we were told that it only went back to the 1960s.
Yeah, and they were wrong. Either they updated it or something happened. But I know my initial search back then when I had that note, I wasn't finding stuff that I needed. So maybe that's why. But then when we went recently, a few days ago, it was oh my gosh, this weaves everything together. The whole focal point of what we needed. This is what we needed all along, and how a year later do we find it?
Right. But I do want. Oh, go ahead. Finish, Dawn.
Well, I was just saying, for some people who research is boring, or we don't have time for that. It does take a long time for some things, and you could go months without really finding something, and then all of a sudden you go back, like I said, and you find something that is relevant and important. And that's what's exciting to me is we get excited about the breakthroughs that we were waiting on and never could find. And it's wow, what about this? What about that? It's exciting. It's almost more exciting for me, maybe not Joe, than finding the paranormal
it's exciting
evidence.
For me.
But for paranormal stuff, sometimes we just sit there forever and there's nothing. But when it comes to research, it's the same thing. Sometimes you find stuff and then sometimes you don't. But then it gets exciting when you actually find a breakthrough that is really relevant.
And, the thing that I don't like to do is I don't like to research a location before I go. Because doing so, first off, a lot of this information is coming from like YouTubers or these bloggers who just regurgitate the same thing over and over again, or things are added to the history or whatever it is, and you can't rely on that. Like, I'll be straight up, like, don't rely on YouTubers for factual information. I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of them, the big ones, don't rely on them for credible information, because they're just going to run with whatever it was that they were told. A lot of times they don't get the history because they don't remember. It's not like they do it on purpose, or they kind of just do it on purpose to run with a narrative for their video. And again, going to like websites, sometimes or a lot of times you get really bad information. So when we go to these locations, I want to hear it straight from the owner or the caretaker or whoever is there. I want to hear it. I want to hear the history straight from them. And then hopefully I can remember all of that. A lot of times, though, we do record the history tour and stuff like that, as long as they allow us to. And
I think about 99% we've been able to record.
Yeah, not like I can only think of 2 locations that we have been to where we weren't allowed to record like the history tour. That was the Conjuring House, and then another location, which the Conjuring House was fine for me anyways, because I was able to remind everybody the history and things like that. And Brian, he was the caretaker when we were there. He did a great job talking about the history, saying, hey, this whole thing with Bathsheba Sherman, no, and things like that. So he was great. Brian's a great guy. But
I reached up with my bad arm because I'm holding with my good arm. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry if I look like T-Rex. I tried to turn his phone call off. I'm so sorry.
And we don't go to a location just to try to debunk anything. So, one of the foundations to investigating the paranormal is hearing the claims and checking the claims out. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe we can find a reason why something is happening or being experienced that has a normal explanation. Now, we're not going to find it all the time, a normal explanation all the time, but that doesn't mean it's paranormal though either. And then maybe somebody else may have the answer. You never know. Because you can't think of everything when you're at a location. You have a limited amount of time. Just running around like crazy, trying to investigate. On top of that, trying to make sure you're filming good content. Not on my channel, anyways, but filming content. To put out there for people to watch. And then so it's situational. Depending on certain circumstances is when I might go ahead and do a deep dive. And, it's not something that I do all the time, because most of the locations we go to, the stuff is laid out for you, right? Here's this, here's that. We can back it up, this, that, the other thing. And then, then we could be told, we did hear this, but we don't know. We're not sure. But if you can find anything on it, let us know. And sometimes, I will try to see if I can find information on whatever it was that they were told about the location, its history. You look at the mysterious Monroe House. There's been so many rumors and stuff like that. Once I, went and did a deep dive into the history, it just made the place even weirder. Like, That's
and,
just what
well,
happens.
and there was a big one that we came across that everybody was like claiming certain things, and we were like, wait a second, this is not true. And there was a big myth around certain little parts of the Monroe House that will, probably make itself known in the documentary. But we found something just by accident.
Um, there was always this rumor about an infant being buried in the crawl space of the Monroe House.
Yeah, I
I'm like,
remember that.
that doesn't even make sense. Why would somebody
Yeah.
do that?
Right.
And this was something that was going around for quite some time, and we were gearing up to film Evil on Earth, and I'm like, found stuff, and I'm like, nope, that didn't happen. I know the name of the infant. I know how the infant died, and I know where the infant is buried. I won't say the name of the infant, but it turns out that wasn't true. And there was many other things that were not true about what allegedly went on at the Monroe House. But the owners were cool about it. I love the owners of the Monroe House. Eddie and Pam are great people. And, when you find something that I guess debunks these rumors and stuff like that, they're fine with it.
Right.
I had sent them death records and other things, showing, hey, this didn't happen, or there may be something to this. But again, it makes that place even weirder when you really debunk a lot of the stories. It just makes it weirder. And to me, I think that's really cool. But it also helps us pinpoint what could be going on and what's haunting the location, which could be even scarier.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
And at the end of the day, we're trying to narrow down what is going on, and to help us, we can figure out what's going on, who is it, who isn't it, or if this is something completely dangerous. It just narrows it down. Then we can focus on that particular entity or whatever. And it's helpful as hell. But I mean, there are those places who they're not interested in the truth, and they want to run with the I'll just say fairy tale bullshit stuff just to make the place or places or whatever far more scarier, to draw people in. I don't see locations being in competition with one another, but I mean, it seems like there's a few locations out there who they're like, oh, this place is the most haunted, and then somebody else.
Well, every location is. At this
Yeah, it's like almost every location is
they all make
the
that.
most haunted. Well, not every location, but there's a few out there that do.
Yeah. Do we want to address Pomp's
Yeah.
question? You want to read it, Laura?
Says when you uncover a piece of information that counters what is believed to be true, or you've discovered it, or do you feel bad, you have to call it out a lie.
I definitely don't
You have to
feel
call it
bad.
a lie. Sorry.
A lie is a lie, but we don't know
Right.
if it's a lie necessarily. It depends on a lot of situations with the stuff we're told.
Yeah,
A lie can obviously be uncovered at some point, but also some people just don't know what is the truth. And, when you reach out to people and you've done some research, many people are like, they're probably elated that you found it because they've been searching and couldn't find it. But then there's other times where you get some pushback. So we've had both, but rarely do we have pushback because we do try to share like, hey, we found something else that just, we think is more valid. But so many times you have people that are happy you find it versus not. I mean, that's my experience. And with Joe, you can answer that. I got to turn my camera off a little bit and rest my arm. Okay.
Okay.
All
I'm
right.
still hearing audio.
But it's the thing that I do when I if I do decide to do some deep research, I don't want to talk to owners of the location or anybody who's done any kind of research for that location or for an owner, because there's that bias. And I'm not saying they all do this or anything like that, but there's sort of like this bias, they're trying to navigate you, kind of like in to their narrative and what they want to, kind of put out there or what they believe is real.
Right.
So, nope, I don't want anything from owners of a location or whoever. I'll do it on my own. If I run into something that seems confusing, then I may reach out to somebody who did research for them and ask them about it. Always, with the exception of one time that I've done that, I've gotten answered and then got figured out, things like that. But there was that one time where all I got was the runaround, and it pissed me off because I'm like, I can't trust this person.
Right.
This person's interest is elsewhere, not exactly interested in the truth. So, yeah, I was not a happy camper. Not happy.
Well, yeah, because even if you do, somebody gives you a piece of information, even if it's a researcher or historian, do you also double check that information just to make sure that they're on the up and up?
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny too, because some people will say, oh, well, why bother? Who cares? It's like, no, you probably should care, because first off, a haunted location is a business. Okay. And putting bad information out there, whether the location owner or owners know it or not, that's fraud.
Right.
That can be considered fraud. Not
Now,
only
are you
that,
talking to Joe? Are you also talking to about? And I'm sorry to interrupt. The one location near me that we went to, where was a lot of we couldn't find information because you got vagabonds and people staying in this hotel, and just a lot of hearsay and not enough factual information. Where that was the smallest attempt we had at research because there just wasn't anything to be found. Are you also talking about that?
Well, I wasn't, but
because you forgot about that one.
Right.
Well, one that we'll never go back to because there's no point. We did our best, and it's mostly a haunted attraction through the year. And they were allowing investigations again, and I had seen it on a TV show. It was on my bucket list. When Joe and I have said, let's mark it off our bucket list.
Careful,
that
Dawn.
Means we've gone there.
Be careful, Dawn.
Now, we've gone there, we've marked it off, and we encourage everybody else, go mark it off your list, because once you go, you'll know if you want to go back or not. And we did that. He went because it was on my list, and then we went and we're like, okay, mark it off. I'm not going back. Or we could have decided to go back, but there was just too much hearsay. I could probably, because it's a little over an hour away, or maybe less than an hour away. I could go back to the court records and stuff if I had time, but because we didn't really capture anything, and there's just a lot that had to be deciphered. And I talked to the person who manages it. I'm good friends with someone he knows. I trust that he is being honest with me, at least for the most part. And we just like it needs a lot of repairs. They want to sell it. It would have to be fixed up before I would go back, probably. And that's the biggest reason. But the other reason is the history. Stuff can't add up because you can't verify a lot of stuff. And Joe and I don't always run on the stories like that.
Right. My thing though with that location was they just played loud ass music underneath it. There's the
Yeah,
business
that was.
underneath there. And I'm like, there's no
They
point.
didn't turn the radio off.
Yeah, no, they keep
underneath.
it blasting all night, like every night.
It
Even when
tainted
people
all
are
of our.
upstairs.
all of
Yeah, I
our,
remember you guys talking
EVPs.
about that.
Yeah,
I thought
and
we
I'm
got
like,
a good EVP, and Joe's like, nope.
no,
Nope.
no.
Yeah, so Pomp say so you kind of disregard what you've heard and research for yourself.
I wouldn't say disregard.
Right. Take it with a grain of salt and do your own research if you want to. I wouldn't follow the narrative all the time. I would at least check things out. When things start to add up to a point where you're like, okay, you know, I'm doing good with the research and this is adding up. You probably don't have to do a deep dive, but when things don't add up, you know, it's up to you if you're going to spend the time. Because, like I said, we've done some stuff for several months, a year now for certain things, and you know, the deep dive has to happen sometimes.
Right. Most of the owners that I've engaged with and stuff like that, they're on the up and up. They really are. And like I said, some of them are like, fuck, I don't know. I mean, you know, we went to Harriman Hospital and we were there with, you know, Jason Haas. You know, we investigated with him there and the side-eye guy. And they, you know, really, there wasn't too much information, you know, regarding like its history. It was a hospital. People freaking die, you know, in hospitals. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, cool. You know, we're kind of hearing personal experiences and getting a little bit of a backstory with certain people who had lived or, I mean, worked at the hospital, things like that, which is fine. You know, it wasn't filled with, you know, insaneness or anything like that. But also, too, when I go to a location, I can pick up pretty quick that something's wrong here. I'm being told some bullshit, and that aggravates me. You know, we went to a location, like 10 minutes into the history stuff. I was like, I'm out. I don't want to hear any more of this because this is bullshit. Like there is just way too much. Timelines are not adding up. Just certain things just did not make sense.
Now, isn't that the place where the gentleman was supposedly jumped from the window?
No, not that one.
Okay.
So
We actually found some stuff on that one. So
yeah, I mean, you know, the dude did jump out of a window. That was the
old hospital on College Hill.
Yeah, and we want to go back.
Yeah.
The guy
Yeah,
who
but even
owned
that location near me too was, you know, that also, like, I didn't want to tell, you know, the person doing the tour for us. We did sit through it, but there was a lot. It was like, I've heard most of this. I've heard some stuff you know, like from TV shows that I've watched on it. Joe went in blind, like he hadn't heard much about it. But that's another example of, you know, and we're gonna be genuine and we're gonna take it all in, but we're gonna try to figure stuff out later. And that was a short visit.
Yeah, with Dawson and I, along with yawning,
Turning this off.
Michael, when we went to Lake Shawnee, the owner was like straight up front. He's like, "Look, there's no freaking demons here." And by the way, the amusement park was not built on Indian burial ground. That's the other side. And, you know, he's like, I don't understand why people are running with, you know, something demonic. or anything like that. He's like, that's not here. It's like whatever is here is more peaceful than something, demonic. And, and he laid things out there for us, newspaper articles, other documentation. Now, we weren't allowed to film any of that, but I mean, he was just laying it out there. I'm like, I love this guy. Like, he's not bullshitting. He's not throwing, anything out there, ooh, scary. He's just, this is what it is. So, and I can, definitely appreciate that. And I did a little bit of research on it, and everything, he was telling us added up. But, I mean, there was an instance where, we were told something, and Dawn afterwards, after the investigation, she watched an episode and told me, hey, there's this. I have to be vague here, guys. I said, get a screenshot of that. She sent me the screenshot, and I'm like, okay. Some of you, if you were there, I don't know. Laura, you may have been in that live stream. I was live for like 45 minutes.
Right.
And I was doing research, and I have no idea who the hell the person or persons were, but they were in my chat telling me that I was going to get sued for defamation and all this other bullshit. So I stopped the live stream. Like, what the hell's going on? All I'm doing is I'm doing research. Like, I am allowed to do research.
Right.
So then,
Yeah,
I don't know, a day
I
or
don't know,
two,
apparently.
a day or
When
two
people
later,
don't do research, it's a problem.
right. So then I went ahead and I tried it again, and I got the same thing. So I ended it. And I'm like, there's no way people can sit there and say, I'm not allowed to do this because things are copywritten or it's defamation and all this other shit. Then I'm like, no, fuck it. I don't care. And just went with it. And I don't know how many of you guys in here watched the one live stream, did the research, and it was not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Well, that's why you were getting the threats, because they were covering up what wasn't true.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And you got to watch out for that kind of thing too, apparently, I never thought that something like that would happen. Right? We're doing research and finding out things just don't add up. Live before everyone's eyes.
Well, that's what we do. Like, you show raw footage. You were
Right.
showing, information about, every location. That's what we do. We also show up, and we get made fun of sometimes, like, oh, don't debunk your experiences so much. No, that's what we do. We do look into the claims, because if you're going to make a bunch of claims, we're going to check it out for ourselves, see if we can experience it. That's the whole purpose. You're telling us the stories for a reason, and you're telling us what other people experience. So let's see if we can experience it. We did all kinds of experiments in different locations, just based on the claims. And that's what Kenny does. Like, he's like, I'm going to look at the claims. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to check it out and see if I can experience the same. Are we going to experience the same? It's not guaranteed, but we're going to at least try. And then we do debunk our own experiences everywhere we go. So, we're not a debunking channel. We just do it naturally because that's how we are. And that's how you should be. You should be looking into everything.
Exactly.
And double checking. And, not every noise is paranormal. Not everything you experience is paranormal. I feel better not responding to a REM pod and an app, walking around acting like an idiot. I feel better like doing the research and finding that to be exciting than to think that some REM pod or a K2 meter gave me some experience that I probably didn't have because I can't verify that equipment. It's not exciting for me if I can't do the research. For me, because we do sit there and it gets pretty boring. I will probably still question a full body apparition. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I want, and maybe I've experienced it and just didn't notice. But so far, I don't think I have. I've seen shadow figures, and I can't debunk that for the most part. But the full body apparition, I'm still going to question it. I'm going to question everything until. And I'm not going to call it paranormal, most likely, because it's interesting to me, but I can't call it paranormal.
And just because, we're able to debunk, claims or inconsistencies within the history doesn't mean we're saying the location is not haunted. That's not what we're saying.
Right.
For Dawn and I right now, and I may be saying too much.
Oh God, don't include me and Dawn and I. Just say Joe.
Okay, Joe. Me.
Because it's probably too much.
I'm sort of in this awkward position because I have a feeling certain people are watching this, not saying anything.
So wave.
Hi.
Yeah, wave.
How are you doing?
And it's funny because I'm like, I joke around, right? For example, I was like saying, I've done research on this place for a year and, da 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 da. And I'm like, throw the middle finger up, like, you know who you are. Singular. And it's like, he flipped us off. No, I didn't. I flipped Matt off twice.
Right.
Or he called us assholes. No, I fucking didn't. And so what if I did? But I didn't. And there's a few other things too, and it's like, so you're going to suppress me? You're going to dictate what I can and cannot say?
Right.
Now we're falling into this whole thing, where
you can flip off anybody you want.
Right.
Seriously.
I could literally walk up to a police officer, and I would never ever do this because I love law enforcement.
No, you don't want to do that.
And I can flip a police officer off. There's nothing he can do about it. I'm an asshole for doing it. Literally an asshole. I would never do that because, again, I absolutely love law enforcement. Yes, I know there are bad cops out there, but there's bad workers everywhere.
Exactly.
But it's freedom of speech. And I'm in this position to where it's like my freedom of speech is being suppressed. It's being trampled on. It's being violated.
Yeah, too many people get their feelings hurt when you say the truth, and when things are the truth, you might as well just accept it at this point.
Right.
Like you can't just suppress what people say because you don't agree with it.
Right. And I can't. How many times
there are things that are the truth.
Oh well.
You can't argue facts. Is what
right. And so I'm kind of in this weird place where it's like, well, no matter what I say or do, it's gonna be like, oh, I'm telling on you. Grow the fuck up. But it's been interesting. It's been a challenge, and I have thoroughly enjoyed everything that's been going on so far.
Yeah, because we've uncovered really cool stuff that,
right.
When someone earlier, it was in the very beginning of the chat and we didn't address it. Someone said, get a genealogist to do some of your research. There's some people who've hired genealogists who haven't done their due diligence. I've seen this in front of my own eyes where I'm like, how did they miss this? I got it and they didn't, and they carry this title. Like, how
Right.
did they miss it? So you can't always trust, you still have to verify. If you're going to rely on other people's research, you still have to go and verify it, make sure it's correct. You can't just throw that all out there and just trust anyone. I know some people carry titles that should be trustworthy, but at the end of the day, if you own a location, you better check your stuff, because it still could be damaging to people who are paying you money to be there. Ronnie D, where he owns the 2 locations, and we'll always go back. I sat on a live stream and watched him talk about the research of the place. Now, I hadn't been to Harriman and Old South Pittsburgh at the time, and it was before I met Joe. And I remember telling him, hey, you should write a book, because this is really valuable information on the place. And he's like, yeah, I'm too busy. I don't know how I'll ever get that done. But he sat there for 2 hours talking about these locations, and it made me want to go, because he did so much research. But there's a thing between saying you did research and then, when people actually do try to validate it, that they can validate it. And I pretty much can guarantee that whatever Ronnie puts out there, I can validate, because he's not going to put it out there without me being able to also look at it and go, yeah, let me see that. And he's not going to turn me down if I ask for things.
Right. Ronnie D's a great guy. Now, when he, we almost lost Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And there was a lot of stories that were coming out of there that were very hard to verify. But once Ronnie took over Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, all those stories that were being told, he completely debunked them. Now, he could have been like, screw it, let's run with it, because it's far more scarier this way. But that's not what he did. And mad respect to him and other owners who've done that as well.
Well, Robin Terry, Ashmore Estates, he told me and you at one point, actually, I think he commented when you were talking about research one time, and he said, when I bought Ashmore, the previous owners gave me, a bunch of stuff. When I went to verify it, if I couldn't find it, I threw it out. I don't care if it was true or not. I just couldn't verify it. And I don't want to pass it on to people when I couldn't find anything. And sometimes that's the case. It could be true, but if it's hard to verify, then the person who's trying to do the research beyond you, it's going to be hard for them to verify. So, he did the honest thing and just said, yeah, I can't prove it, I'm going to throw it out.
But when doing research, there are a lot of resources you can use. You guys would be very surprised the resources that are out there.
I'll be right back.
Research. You can use Ancestry or Family Search.
Right.
You can go to you can go online to what is it called? Now I gotta look, but I gotta be careful at the same time. The county clerk, and you can get you can find records, but it also depends. I mean, first off, that person that you're trying to research needs to have lived, in that county or whatever.
Right.
You can also reach out to historical societies. That's what I did. I reached out to different historical societies and things like that, and they were very helpful. Some of them were pretty fucking pissed, but not at me though. Not at me.
At the storytellers.
Yeah. What? No.
Wow.
But I mean, there's a lot of resources that you can use. As long as you got a name and a date, you should be pretty good to go. Now, just because I said that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to find a person. We have to also realize too that things get harder to research the later the date is.
Right.
So you're not going to get public records on somebody if they haven't been dead for, I think, 75 or 76 years. So
Oh,
you have to wait. Yeah.
thanks
And
for
I
joining
keep
us,
asking
Icy
Joe
Ghost.
for that.
Yes.
I do that to Joe all the time. Like, can you get the death certificate on this? And I don't look. And he's like, Dawn, no, they've not. We're going to be dead by the time I get that record.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be dead by the time I'm available. You can find a little bit of things, but yeah. So that it sucks that they do that, but at the same time, I understand, because you also have like the next generation of those family members, so I can understand, that gap. But that's another thing too with, and it really pisses me off. And I honestly do wish there were laws where family members could take legal action. And I don't know, maybe that should change. And I've told Dawn, I'm like, maybe we should, I don't know, do something to change this, because, haunted locations are a relatively new business now. And it's not all locations. So I don't want to throw all of them in there.
Right.
But there are some who, they're going to take advantage of, oh, well, this person's dead. So what if their family members are still around? They're going to be our evil dead ghost who did these horrific things. Hey.
Yeah. See, that's the attitude. Yeah. They don't care about the family members.
Right. And they have family members. And a lot of those family members do stay in that area. So basically, their family name is getting dragged through the mud. There was a location. I'm not going to say the name of the location. It somewhere over here. I don't know. It's like 8 hours from me, something like that. Where the story was, oh, this guy self-deleted himself in this chair and demons and that man's family was pissed because the stories that were being told about their father was not true. And they were on the news and like they were trying to defend their father.
Right.
There was nothing they could do legally about it. They could not do anything about it legally. All they could do is just talk about it. And that's sick. Could you imagine, like, you pass away, or your mother or father, they pass away, and then somebody makes a fucked up, creepy ghost story out of them? You'd be pretty pissed off.
Oh yeah.
Mariah was asking for resources for research, and then she said, so the county clerk is a free resource. Some stuff is free. It depends on where you are, like, and how much they've tracked and put in their database. If you have to print things, it may be like $1 a page or less. They charge if you're gonna like print things off. And some don't. It just depends. It's better to go there if you can. And then if you do have to print things, they may charge you, but you can dig up a bunch of stuff if you can actually go physically. But if you can't, there are online resources. And then, Joe, you have some others. Of course, you mentioned Ancestry, Family Search. There's, the whole thing there. Newspapers.com. But you got to pay for it.
Yeah. And that drives me nuts, too, because it's like, oh, you have to pay for this. Like, it was in a newspaper. Like, this is like this. You shouldn't be charging. This is.
Hey, but in the past, they charged for that newspaper for someone, and now you're going to access it. You got to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's because it's a dead thing now. People don't buy the newspaper, so that's how they're gonna make money. Hey, you're going in our archives, but you'd have to go to the library to get the archives at that point.
Right. But we've been lucky. And it's funny because, I mean, I've said this many times. Things just kind of fall in our laps. Like, just out of nowhere. We're like, we're pretty much done with this. And then, poof. Like,
Well, I've
holy
spoken
crap.
it into existence a bunch of times where I'm like, I just need this one thing. If I could
Oh, yeah,
just
me
get this
too.
one thing. And then not even 24 hours later, or even like 4 or 5 hours later, sometimes I'm like calling Joe, like, you wouldn't believe this. I just found it. And you wouldn't believe how I got it. And it's so exciting. I mean, to us, yes, research is exciting for certain things, not for everything. But like when we've worked really hard on certain projects, and we've had a few out there, when you get a breakthrough that you've been waiting on, I can see why there are professional researchers that get excited, because to me normally it would be boring, but when you have a passion for finding the truth and you want to get that stuff out there and the facts, and you finally find something, it's exciting.
Sure. It's like you won the prize. You finally got to
like
your
I said,
goal.
I can't
it's
tell you
better
how many
than
times
finding a ghost. For me, it's better than that.
I can't tell you how many times Dawn has woke up to messages. Look what I found. I don't know how many times. Parasolo, places that want to review before you put videos out there, I don't blame them, because, again, certain content creators, they go to these locations and they say a bunch of stuff and claim a bunch of stuff that isn't true. Then they throw that out there, and you have to remember there are a lot of locations that do like school functions kind of thing, like field trips. Kids go into a location for a field trip or whatever, and the last thing that those places want is people going, oh, hey, there's a demon here. In the meantime, little Timmy and his classmates, they're going to this place for a field day or field trip. Yeah,
But there's a catch to that too, though, because if you notice that a location turns a blind eye to certain content creators and allows them to put out a narrative that is not good, and just still allows it and breaks their rules for them,
right,
then there's a problem.
And then
and we've seen that quite a bit in a long history of going to locations. Even before I met Joe, same thing. I've seen people turn a blind eye because someone's popular, or they're going to draw attention to a location, and then I watch that video. I'm like, that's not how it happened. That's not correct. And they'll turn a blind eye, and that's another problem.
And again, going back to Harriman Hospital,
I'm gonna say money. I can't. There's my hand. Money.
That's what it's
going again back to Harriman Hospital. Ronnie wants to review those videos before they go out there, and the reason for that is because some really big YouTube channels went to Harriman Hospital claiming demons. Ronnie had no idea. And then all of a sudden he started getting, I guess he was getting a little bit of shit from the people of that town. Like, dude, what's going on here, man? These guys are claiming demons. We don't want that shit here because it's a Bible Belt. A lot of these places are in the Bible Belt. So when you have, people running around claiming demons, that doesn't go over very well. Ronnie, he has a close relationship, to that community, to Harriman. And, it took him quite a bit to convince the city to let him buy that for people to investigate. So, yeah, he's going to protect, what he owns. Plus the story, a demon in there.
Hey, spoiler
But,
alert. Did Seg, you, me, or Jason Hawes and his team find a demon there?
They must
I
they
didn't
must have
see
been out
any.
that day.
I
I
didn't
mean,
see any.
if you see Seg upload that video and say, something about demon, you just
Um,
might as well delete his channel.
well, I mean, the first time we went to Harriman Hospital, I looked in the cupboards, I looked under desks, I looked in closets. The only thing I found was a demonic frog.
That's bad news, man.
That was it. But I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate because I do have a great reputation with owners of haunted locations. So I don't have to have my footage reviewed, with the exception of the Conjuring House, which whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. And then
But
there's one that now has people review. Well, there's some that, after the fact that we've been there, they do ask for reviews for whatever reason. Um, and I've seen that happen as well. So I think it's becoming more common for locations to want to review.
Yeah, I
right,
don't blame them at all. Unless it gets to
And,
be
and I
like
don't blame them either
ridiculous.
when they have cameras everywhere and they're watching, because I wouldn't trust people in something I've built and spend a lot of money on. You got to be very careful, um, but you also you need to make sure that you are consistent with your rules and expectations with people, because it gets very confusing when you're told one thing and then someone else gets to bypass that rule. It's like when I was teaching, I did have students that I know I could trust to do certain things, so it looked like, oh, I'm not allowed to do this but someone else is. I get it, I understand it completely, but at the same time, it's like when you own a business, you're probably going to have to be consistent more with,
right.
making sure that everybody falls in line so that you get consistency as well. So it's fair.
Right.
My arm just keeps like giving out on me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to
That's all
turn
right.
Um,
it
That's all right. Hi, Jonathan. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Like, I mean, they went through that with the Conjuring House, where she would make up these rules, but then change them as she went along. So it caused a
yeah,
lot of problems.
yeah. We went there and we were told we're not allowed to investigate outside on the property. I'm like, okay, like what the hell? Because the people before us were, we know they were. So whatever, follow the rule, and then the next group goes in there and they're allowed to investigate the grounds. I'm like, this doesn't make
Yeah,
any
see?
sense. And then an instance where, oh hey, you know, you can film whatever for YouTube. That's fine. Anything outside of YouTube big production is going to cost you money. Which okay, fine. Not allowed to put anything behind a paywall, but this guy did it. But it was for early access, so we get it. We also understand, the whole like advertising, whatever, and then make a big deal when like 3 people donate and they're pissed off because you're doing a review on the location. Now all of a sudden that's not good. But in the meantime, watching a live stream that was promoted by a location, and they're just getting donations and stuff like, oh, that's okay though. But hey, you guys came here and uncovered some shit. Bad. Guys, I'm telling you, being a paranormal investigator, it's a lot of fun. It really is. It can be boring, but we put up with a lot of like really dumb shit. Now, owners of locations do too as well. But for a lot of us, it's like, why it's okay for them to do this. We're not doing anything different than they are, but we're in the wrong.
Yeah. Well, I also brought up a thing about that where, um, if you're not familiar with how YouTube works, you better school yourself if you're a location owner and you want to, like promote channels, um, and then try to silence others because you've got to understand that people have subscribers before they ever went to your location. Like Joe's had subscribers for many years who consistently want to watch the raw footage. That's why they're a member. But
Right.
they've subscribed and then they've bought a membership. I've been a member since I met Joe. Like I've been a member for almost 2 years now, or well, it's been over 2 years. And I pay the $1.99 and we're engaged. Like I'm I am paying for his channel. Joe owes me
No
money.
fiance discount.
I don't get no discount, but I'm paying for his channel so that I can join in on the raw footage and all that stuff with members because I want to see it as well when he's reviewing it. I'm not always there. We live 4.5 hours away from each other. So when he's reviewing footage before he puts it out there, I don't always see it unless I'm visiting him. So I have to be a member as well. And it's worth the small amount that he charges. It's like barely $1. Then I mean, there's 3 tiers because doesn't YouTube make you choose
Yeah,
like the tiers?
that may have changed, but when it happened for me, I had no choice but to do at least 3 tiers. But the thing is here's why I did the whole memberships thing. It's because people were asking me about it, or like they want to donate and or whatever, and that wasn't something that I didn't want to do anything like that to begin with. But people wanted to help support, financially, and I'm like, fuck, I just look, everybody just, if you want to join, just do the 99-cent one.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
that's
hobby.
it.
That's the thing. It's like for us, like people can get excited about it, but it really is a hobby for both of us, and we spend way more than we'll ever make because there are people who can't go to the locations that we choose to go to and they want to watch it, but they want to watch real paranormal. They don't want to watch all the other channels with the
All right.
hype and the overhype. I know that Parasola mentioned Overnight. Joe and I are familiar with Overnight. Joe more so than me, but I have had to watch them for some research on different locations, and I'm not into the overhype. I think they may seem like good people, and I wouldn't think. I mean, Joe could speak on this. I wouldn't call them like a fake channel or anything like that because I don't really throw that word out there.
Well, I
I'm
did a
not as
debunk on them.
well. You did a debunk, but we can debunk on ones that aren't deliberately faking. But I'm not a fan of certain channels, and I don't like to watch things unless I have to, because I am into the real paranormal. I'm having a hard time watching anything paranormal, just like Joe. Like I'm now like way off of paranormal when I watch stuff. It seems. I'll get back into it, but just like I've watched like the channels that have grown and people ask for donations and oh I want to well no they say they want to donate and the channel's not monetized like mine. I've had people say something to me and I'm like, well, Joe's got his channel and I can just go on there. Mine's just the side thing where sometimes when we're live, like I don't really get my stories out there. And of course, I've had my injuries where I'm not able to go back like I had planned on and do some of the stories, like the paranormal stuff that I've experienced before I met Joe. Like that was my intention, was kind of separate myself. Never intend to monetize. I think I have like less than 300 subscribers, and that's fine with me. Like I like a small circle. My circle of friends is very small, and I'm okay with that. I don't have to have thousands upon thousands. I don't have to monetize my channel. Joe can do all that. I hope he has growth because he deserves it, but he's okay with where he is, even if it doesn't
Sure.
happen. Like he's okay with where he is. We're real, and if it's boring to everybody but you still want to be there, like I just love the fact that this community, there's so many people so strong in that that they are going to back you no matter what, as long as you're being real. Like if you're not going to be real, they're going to call you out. And I
That's
love that
right.
about this community. Like they'll speak up. Sometimes it works out, and I mean everyone knows there's certain like drama that goes on, and then it works out. Or sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. And I love that about this community, that we can all just have a voice, and I never knew it existed. So thanks to Joe, like I'm here because I had no idea that this whole YouTube thing existed. I'm going to shut up now, let Joe talk, because he looks like he's ready to talk.
You
And
know,
I'll
just
put myself back on camera. I'm sorry, but I'm going to wait a minute.
and you know, like for me too, like, you know, I did a little debunk on overnight. That doesn't mean I hate them or you know, I want their channel to go away or anything like that. Dude, make money, man. Like, make fucking money. If you ain't gotta work a shitty 9 to 5, dude, then don't do it. Make money. My issue though is going about it, and I think the word fraudulent may be a bit too strong. I can't think of another word to call it, but going about it in like a fraudulent way, like if you know it's fake
Right.
and you're gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, it was real," and double down on it. Yeah, no, please don't. Or maybe they didn't realize whatever it was that they captured and thought was paranormal was actually something very, very normal. But you know, I don't hate any other YouTube channel or anything like that. To me, it's like I'll just point something out, debunk it, and whatever. You know, sometimes I'll tease pretty hard. Like I do like to give Twin Paranormal shit. I don't know them personally. I don't hate them or anything like that, but I do love to give them shit. And you know, hey, maybe they'll give me shit back. I don't know, but it'd be hilarious if they did.
Joe, do they know you?
It wouldn't bother me at
exist?
all. I wouldn't sue them for defamation.
It's just all part of the game.
Hey, you know what? Like, I want to talk about, like, when we said we found some stuff recently, what we got excited about. I got excited because I could actually read the cursive, but we're talking about 18 and 1900s where they didn't type out the records, and you had to read handwritten letters and legal documents that people wrote up themselves to represent themselves legally. And then had a notary go in.
Right. But also, I want to say real quick.
Exciting.
Right, but I also want to say real quick. I'll let you go ahead, Dawn. It is funny because you can see when you read what it is that they have written out. These are very, very smart people. They are using like legal jargon and all kinds of other like language. And you know, like it could be a will or it could be a deed or a contract or something, and it's like, wait, we're supposed to be getting smarter as time goes on.
Right.
We're getting dumber as time goes on. Like,
yeah, we are. We're dumbing it down. Yep.
it reads like as if an attorney wrote it. But
Yeah.
even then, I've seen attorneys write things out, and I'm like, the fuck is this? Not anyone specific. Well, my mom's attorney way back when, he had wrote something out, and I was like reading it, and I'm like, what's wrong with your attorney? Is he dumb? Like, what's going on here? Like, it read like a teenager.
Oh,
And
wow.
I thought that was funny. But I mean, just seeing that, and then I just amazing the things that were of value. I mean, like, you know, hey, here's a $1, you know, to take care of, you know, my kid for the rest of his life or your life.
Or when they leave
$1.
in their will, like just everything, and they list everything. It's like, oh, the horse reins, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
side table,
Yeah,
everything,
the
and
furniture, the
handwritten.
carriage, yeah. Um, and it was funny because one was like, "Oh, in my will, I want to give these people $100." And I'm like,
It was a
"Yeah,
lot.
you think? I mean, you think about it,
Back
right?
then, yeah,
$100, really?
it
You
would have been
know?
a couple thousand in today's money.
Yeah, back then that was a lot of money.
Yeah. Hi,
So I
Candy.
mean, when you do research, you're like your mind is blown at some of the stuff you find because it's like, my God, like $5 was a big deal back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
$100, it's like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I'm a
Well, they even
millionaire
spoke,
kind of
they
thing.
spoke differently back then too.
Yep.
They respected the language. Now, where today, yeah, is extremely lazy.
Yeah. And this
So
one
yeah,
area was like a lot of
Candy.
French for what we read, and luckily I have a French background. Joe doesn't. Like, I was able to
at least you
understand
could
something.
right.
And
Bear.
You could
also,
translate.
I wanted to point out too, like, someone tried to throw us off and like make us think that someone was demented. And when we did our research, we're like, this person bought a bunch of land. They did all these
I didn't say
transactions.
they
Like,
were demented. They said crazy. The person was.
well, I know, but like, crazy means crazy, and you're not allowed to sign contracts when you're not of mental faculty, like the right mental faculty. You can't sign contracts because then it becomes null and void if someone
Exactly.
finds you to not have your faculties in order. There's multiple backup for us to say, no, this person was definitely not crazy. And we found some articles on them in the actual newspaper that said they were top in the community. The story didn't add up. So, and Joe, don't give that away because that's our secret.
But I mean, it's just amazing what we have found. It's so weird. It's like, God, we know more about this than anybody else, it seems like, apparently.
I'm ready to write a book on the stuff that we've worked really hard on.
No, I agree. I told you should do it because what you're finding out is amazing, and
Yeah,
at least
and
now you're getting the true story out there.
I don't
Uh,
when I show up at a location too, like, it really, I mean, Joe and I don't have the paranormal expectations. When you get people that go, oh, I can't wait to see what activity I encounter. How do you know you're going to encounter anything? Like, don't set yourself up for this because
right, because there's no
like,
guarantee at
we
all.
don't know, but I love like walking in. I just take in the smells, the ambiance, and then I'm literally like how I read a book. Like, I'm thinking what happened here during that time period. And I'm not psychic or medium, but I can like visualize like what went on in the room, and I'm not trying to be psychic medium and try to visualize it. It's just like what happens in my brain. Is that I like when I went to the Mary Todd Lincoln house, married to Lincoln. Yeah, it's 20 minutes from me where she grew up, and I mean, she was in other buildings too, but there's this house and we can visit it as a museum. And when I went there, I was just immersed in like, look at that china, look at this. And
Right.
I wasn't like thinking paranormal. Like, I wanted like, oh, I'd love Mary Todd Lincoln to like walk out and like her like visage was somewhere or a shadow figure or something. But
She's actually a relative.
of yours?
My husband.
Oh, cool. Well, you need to come to Lexington then. I can show you around. It's her original house, or wherever. It's the Mary Todd Lincoln house, and it's very small, and it's right by Rupp Arena where all the basketball and the concerts and everything happen. It's like walking distance, but just as small as it was, to just encounter being in there and just immersing yourself in that history. And like, to me, that's like how I get excitement out of it, because I know I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be bored, and there's not going to be much, most likely. And I'm going to set myself up for failure most of the time. But if I can,
That's right.
that's how I'm going to enjoy it, because I did have to take a break for a little while because I was just so burnt out. And then I realized what I enjoy about it. and that brought that new passion. Like, okay, this is where you are. Like, you're interested in things beyond the paranormal that you just have to accept, because
Right.
at this point, the paranormal is going to happen or it's not. And when we do have stuff happen, we get excited, but it's very small usually, and we're fine with that.
Right.
So
yeah,
for
well, it's
me
the
to
history
enjoy
that draws you in.
it's got to be the history, and it's got to be just immersing myself and seeing myself in that place,
right.
back in time, and listening to those stories, and then trying to get a grip. Yeah.
Right.
And back off again. Sorry.
All right.
God, we
You gotta
talked
get her
way
a
too much,
stand.
Dawn.
What'd you say,
I said-
Joe?
I said we had talked way too damn much.
Hey, it's
No,
only
no,
been an
it's-
hour and 16 minutes.
That's right.
Well, does anybody have questions for us?
Yes, please shoot
we've talked
questions
too
out
much.
there. But I think it's a great idea that you guys do write a story, or or just she writes the story, because like you said, you're not telling people the place doesn't have any activity, but now you're going to have the true story behind the location that'll help people with if they do go and visit. That's the beauty of the whole thing.
Right. That just makes things even stranger. Given that, we've never said a place was not haunted. Because first off, majority of the places that we go to, we're only there for one night. And it's not fair. Be like, oh, it's not haunted because nothing happened. No.
That's not
I
enough
can't-
time.
I can't tell you how many times I've been to the same location repeatedly and nothing has happened. And then maybe something happens, and then again, nothing for a while, and then something cool happens. That's just the nature of the beast. Like, that's just how it is. When somebody tells me, oh, it's always something's happening here, every day something crazy. Oh, you're guaranteed to experience something. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, I lived in a house growing up that we believe was demonic, and it wasn't fucking fun. But let me tell you how that went. Something would happen, oh shit, and then silent for a while. And then shit would happen again. Could be a week later, could be a month later. Hey, sometimes we went several months without anything happening.
Right.
And then just out of nowhere, something happens. When you watch The Haunted, which was a made-for-TV movie way back in the 90s. Crow actually did a watch party or whatever on that. They moved in the house. They had some weird shit happen, but for years, nothing. They experienced nothing for years. And then all of a sudden it ramps up. I mean, that's just kind of,
Well, you don't know
how
what's
it
going to
is.
set it off. I mean, it could be dormant for years, and then just that one specific person or group will go in there and do something right that's going to get a response.
but we don't know what triggers. I mean, so-
Right.
I mean, we don't even know what the hell going on to begin with, but is there something to it that has to do with maybe certain individuals? Because one of the things that I've observed is it seems like people who have, and nobody take this as a negative. Nobody take this as a negative. In some way, shape, or form, everybody, no matter who you are, has some sort of mental illness. It could be the tiniest little thing, or it could be something, major.
How
But we find-
rude. No.
I know. I'm such a jerk, right?
He's calling us mental, Laura.
Yeah.
What
You know
What the
what?
hell? Ain't
We're
no problem with
women.
me.
We're women.
Write a
He
letter.
just wants to burn us at the stake.
John, write a letter to your attorney, okay?
Yeah.
But is there something to it where people may have a certain mental health issue? Maybe it could be something like anxiety. Maybe somebody has heightened anxiety. I do, and maybe that kind of like is a beacon for things to happen, or maybe it wasn't anything paranormal at all, but because of that heightened anxiety, somebody thought it was.
I like how Matt, like when I went to Monroe House for the first time, I was still in my sling. I'd just broken my arm like a month ago, like in that time frame. And he was telling Joe all the stuff that like we should do and like, use Dawn as the target. She's the weakest link. And I'm like, hell no.
They're like sacrificing you, right?
Because I mean that place is known possibly to be demonic. It was my first time there, and I'm not gonna lie, it didn't make the documentary, but I saw some things that I can't explain. It was really weird, and when we had the demonologist there, he confirmed things that I did not tell him ahead of time. I just made him like tell me like, what were your impressions, and then tell me what you saw, and then I'll tell you what I saw. And it collaborated very it was weird. And I felt so weird because I was taking some medication and I was like, maybe I'm just seeing things. But I had a weird experience that like I want to think was just like me being crazy. And then he was like, no, like this is real. And he was looking stuff up for me. And Joe was outside smoking, and here Brian, his friend Brian that came, and the demonologist and me were kind of comparing notes. And we just came on some like another breakthrough, talking to each other and trying to like piece through like what was happening. And I had some weird stuff, and I can't back it up enough for it to be in the documentary, but I can put it as personal experiences. I probably will talk about it on my channel. I've talked about it on Joe's a little bit. It was just where I actually saw something that everybody describes as this thing that's in the Monroe House, and I couldn't believe what I saw. And I asked that demonologist, and he was describing what he saw, and it became the same thing.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know, because that was my first experience in something like that. And I still don't like to really talk about it too much because it's a little weird. Because like when someone brought up like, oh, the like whole demon thing, I know they exist by my religion. Like when I go into the paranormal, like I go on belief, like Joe mentions, like it's all about belief. But my experiences on religion have me believing it's more people who are visiting more than that they're dead. And I don't explain that to everybody. That's just like my opinion. But I know there's good versus evil. I know it's out there. So I'm not going to say, no, demons don't exist. But people are just overhyping things and don't understand what they're overhyping until you experience it yourself. All right,
Exactly.
Joe. Oh, he's got his hair out.
Hey,
His hair
Tom,
out.
about that whole thing with Dawson, I believe it. That is totally something Dawson would do.
Yeah.
Where's the thing with Dawson? I missed it. Wants to go to haunted brothel, use it. Yeah, he said it. Like I would believe. I would believe he would do it.
I could see that. Yep.
he would do it.
I totally. Missed
The other thing too that we do, or I do, I guess more me, I guess, because I'm more the techie guy. When we were at a location, we heard a sound twice, and it didn't register at first when I first heard it, and then it happened a second time, and I was like, that sounded like it was coming through something electronic. I did about a month, no, like 2 months later, I started looking into I started watching other YouTube channels that had gone to the same place, and I was just like, oh Lord. Somebody's using electronic devices. That's what I believe anyway, my opinion. But
yeah, we so wanted so much to have it be like what we thought it was, and then it was like, no,
No, I had no expectations.
Oh no, I did. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
Dawson and I and everybody else that I can think of would want. I mean, we were talking about Dawson earlier. Dawson is he's the my stepchild, obviously. um, Joe would school him, and I would be like, "Yeah, you can still believe that, but let's like be honest." I'm sorry, I'm so close to my face because it's the only way I can hold my phone. And like anyone else, we've gone to locations with too. Like everybody, we want some of that stuff to be happening, but sometimes it's just like questionable.
It's like
Well, I
all
think
this
it's great
stuff-
that Joe can pick up that it's an electronic noise. Most people wouldn't even
I
notice
mean,
that.
yeah. Well, like I'm a musician.
Yep.
First off,
Well,
and
there were hundreds of claims. Like, well, this is like more than one location. We always, like I said, we always look into the claims. So Joe schooled me on a few locations where he's like, "Yeah, you know, this is what people are saying," and I didn't know. So you know, I probably went in way more blind on a few locations that we visited where you know, we already knew that there are some claims of activity that we got to look into.
you know, like a psychic, I if I remember correctly, claimed that there were speakers behind walls at the Monroe House. And I thought that was so funny. I'm like, no. So we were with Kenny Biddle,
Right.
and we checked that. We went, we looked, and we're like, there's nothing here. Like, there's no speaker here. Like, there's no speaker like anywhere except for the projector. They're not using the projector to, you know, put some sounds out there or whatever. Yeah, I went live and I'm like, yeah, whoever said that's an idiot. Because it wasn't true. And, you know, well, with Ashmore Estates, some dude tried to claim that something about their security, can't remember what it was, and that they were purposely making devices go off or something like that. Like they had a way to make devices go off at Ashmore. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. So I had said something like, look, dude, I'm like, I've been to Ashmore. And dude's on the up and up. Like, and he's a good dude. And he's like, yeah, but all those wires for all those cameras, they shouldn't even be in there. I'm like, no, dude, they're there because people break into that place.
Right.
And if you're well aware that there's wires there, then
You
why
know
the
what
hell
to
are you-
look for.
not only that, why are you setting yourself up so close to wires where it's going to interfere in the first place? Like, use your brain. Like, there's nothing going on
See,
like
there's
that.
the difference between an investigator and a ghost hunter.
Yeah, our Ashmore, like you, Joe, you and I, you are constantly shown on video with our Ashmore location video, pointing your meters at the wires to show, and then like putting the app up against it and showing like why it would go off when you're close to the electronics. You showed that, and we both had been there before we met. We both had been to Ashmore before, and got to collaborate in an experience together. Just you know, beyond what we experienced the first time, where we hadn't known each other. And your experience and mine, we still both had some experiences. The time that we went there, we only had like one little thing that we still questioned, like that little, you know, the voice that came through, and we're
Right.
not sure if it was something paranormal or not. The rest of the night, it was pretty bland.
I do not. I do not want to go back to Ashmore Estates in the winter again. Actually, it was Halloween.
It wasn't winter. It was
was Halloween.
Halloween. Laura, Like, back me up here. It was Halloween. I was surprising Joe, like, let's do something on Halloween. And Ashmore was available on Halloween. And I surprised him with Halloween. And guess what happened? It was the coldest night ever recorded in
Oh,
Illinois. But we had an awesome
And
time in the city
windy.
before with all the big stuff that we got to visit.
And it was fucking windy.
We had to rent a porta potty and pay for it, and they paid me back for it because of like what happened. But
right.
I initially paid up front. We rented a porta potty and we had to go out in the freezing cold. to
I
clean
do
the
remember. Yeah.
bathroom. And
Oh
the only
my
place we
God.
could get heat was like in the place where people would take a rest, outside of it. And we
Right.
ended up like, I'm not kidding you. Like I have an activity ring that's my sleep ring. Like I track my sleep. And we got so tired and we weren't experiencing anything that we went over into the little shack and we decided to rest for like a few hours. And I think it was 2 or 3 hours, Joe, that we took a
Yeah.
nap. And I looked on my activity ring and it was like completely like deep sleep for me. It was the like 3 hours of deep sleep, like one solid bar. And I was like, yeah, I was tired. I was ready to sleep.
I
Yeah.
specifically bought a heated coat for Ashley for that investigation.
And then he bought me one for Christmas after that.
Oh God.
Oh my God. My heated coat, I love that thing. I need
At
to
least
get
you guys
another
went.
one.
I won't do nothing in the wintertime because
Oh,
I don't.
we do. And he says no.
It's
So
too
we do.
cold.
Yeah, I don't do well in winter. I got a lot of like health issues. So during the winter, I hurt bad.
Yeah.
I don't always like show that, but it's not fun.
Yeah, it's bad news. That's why I don't do it.
So yeah, if we do locations in the winter, I'm like, this bitch got heat because
Yeah.
Where's
Well, the last one I was gonna do didn't have
gonna
heat, and I'm
visit
thinking, well,
Crow.
forget it, I'm out.
I said we're gonna visit Crow during this winter. That's what we're gonna do. That's
There
the
you go,
only way
some
Joe will
like
deal with it.
weenies.
but
The thing is, those to get Crow out of the house.
take him to Hooters.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I'll just cook wings and I'll wear the front stuff. No, that's not gonna happen. I'm just joking.
I was gonna say
It's not gonna
there's a
happen.
reason why the place is called Hooters, Dawn. Okay.
Stop.
Because those
Stop. I
delicious
could
chicken
say stuff
wings.
on you. Like, do you want me to start?
Cardio, my cardio workout. Oh no. Hey, look. I'm a grower, not a shower. No.
There you go. There you go.
Joe, you're
I don't
gonna
like
demonetize Laura. So
I'm not even monetized yet, so don't
Oh.
worry about it.
you're not monetized. Oh, bless your
No,
heart.
it's taking forever to get there. I figured whatever.
But then once you get monetized, like, okay, cool.
It's
And you just
great. Well, I'd
keep
be
doing
happy
it.
just to hit 500. That's what my goal has always been. 500. I'm almost there. But it's just taking a long time. So I figured, well, it'll happen when it happens.
Is
But,
it cold out there, Joe, right now?
No.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it's still 83 here. Oh God.
No, it's like 80s here too. Oh, I'm dying. And Joe loves it. I'm like, oh no.
I will take the heat over snow, freezing ass weather. I'll deal with swamp ass over.
I agree with them. Yeah,
No.
I agree. It's because everybody will be bitching. Oh, it's so damn hot. I say, yeah, but that's what the pool is for.
I don't want to sweat. Like I want to take a shower and then have to take another shower.
What I don't like is being inside and it's really hot and they have no air conditioning. That I don't like. Because if
Yeah.
I'm going inside, then I want air conditioning.
Right.
Like,
Oh, we bought one a
That's
couple
why
of
we
years
went
ago
to-
just for the dog.
That's why we went to Texas in May to get away from the heat last year, and it didn't happen. It
well, I knew that was going to
freaking
happen.
hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to happen. It's Texas, Dawn.
Yeah, it's just don't go there. It's just hot.
But Texas was cool. I enjoyed it. Texas
Yeah,
is
you
definitely
shut
a
up.
cool place.
You shut your mouth. I can't deal with the heat.
Yeah,
don't like it.
I don't like it that hot. I got family in Arizona. They're going, when are you going to visit? I said, when it cools down. It's too freaking hot there.
Yeah.
Nope,
Any
I'll
more
deal with it.
questions? Come on, people. Questions.
Yes, give us some questions. So that
Yeah,
any questions?
Research.
talk to you
And
guys
then-
to death. Poor Laura's like, oh my God, shut the
Well,
fuck up.
No,
Because
that's what it's all about. We want to
it
know
is our
about what you're
topic.
going through, and
It's our topic. Your research, and
You know, a lot of people
should get
don't
paid
do
for it.
research at all. They just take it for face value, and I just want them to know how important it is. Even though you get a story and you go in there and you do your own thing, research it and find out the truth for yourself, because
yeah, I've gone into
no
some
story is
channels.
100%.
Well,
I've gone
here,
into some channels, like the big channels, and when they've been to locations I've been, and I don't like going into their channels, especially their live streams. But like sometimes I got caught up in it, and I was like, nope, this is wrong. Like if you do your research, like it's this, and this, and they want to kick you out. I'm like, no, like I'm trying to tell you,
Right.
like this is like how
Something's not
how it
right.
is. And that makes me really mad when they do stuff like that.
so it's like, to me, it's kind of funny because like you have people who go to a location and they just investigate. That's it, right? And it's
And
like,
follow the narrative.
and it's like,
whatever
wait
they're
a minute.
given.
Well, no, not just that. I'm like, you only did like half of the work. Now you got to research.
Yep.
Hello, or, and I'm talking about you, Kenny Biddle, on this one. Go to a location and only checks out the claims, tries to figure things out, and then leaves without investigating the claims of the place being haunted. Like not staying and investigating, doing a paranormal investigation. It's like you only did half the work. What if? You
Ooh,
You just
shame on
can't-
Kenny.
can't go halfway
Kenny!
here, buddy? No matter who you are.
He
You know,
doesn't
you-
watch me, so don't worry about it.
Oh, we're not scared of Kenny.
But
We talk.
and
to him
that's something that
often.
gets me though too. I get the side that he's coming from,
Right.
and same thing with Side Eye Guy. But they only go to a location once, do their thing, and then it's okay. It's nothing. And just like you said earlier, you could go 20, 30 times and have nothing. And then that 31st time that you go, then something happens. That's why I always tell everybody, you got to go to a location several times over the years.
And
to
then
actually get anything if you're lucky.
And then you have people like, oh, I went to this house. There's supposed to be a demon, and I talked shit to this demon. I called it all kinds of names, but nothing happened. There's no demon there. And it's like, oh, good for you, Buttercup. That's not how it fucking works.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're gonna claim to be a paranormal investigator, but you sound fucking stupid to me right now, because that's just no. Most
Right.
people aren't going to experience that anyways. I could go into a place with hundreds of fucking demons, and guess what? I would never fucking know. I could
Yep.
never know,
You're right.
because like nothing could happen. I mean, hell, Dawn and I, we could have gone to a location where there was a demon, and we would never know because nothing happened. I mean, when you look at how like the demonic works, it works in the background. It's not in your face. It's hidden in the background. You don't know what's going on. There are, and this is all belief. So I'm not spitting facts here, guys. Just belief. But I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Where was I going?
The demon thing
Yeah.
that it works in the background.
Yeah, it works in the background. Like, it's very rare that it's in your face, and if it's in your face, then it's in your face.
It's seriously right. Yeah.
Like some serious shit. But also
Good night,
working in
Purple.
working in the background is actually far more dangerous. Being undiscovered is far more dangerous than being discovered because more damage can be done. But usually it isolates a person. And then that person isolates themselves from others, and they start isolating from that person because they're like, something weird's going on with this person. I don't know what's going on here. Basically, It's a divide and conquer. It's normally how that works. But it's just mind-boggling to me how, there are people out there like, I went to this place and there's supposed to be a demon there and I talk shit to it and it's like, that doesn't mean shit. That don't mean shit. What this tells me is you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Is what you're telling me.
I've heard, the track record when it with things like that or situations like that. You said it's going to go after the person that is at their weakest moment, who are having issues. So that's the person it's going to go for. So it can single them out and take advantage. Like somebody going through depression and stuff like that.
Right. Or they could sit there, shit talk, run their mouths to something that could be demonic.
Right.
And just because it doesn't go directly after that person, there may be something happening to somebody else, their loved ones, maybe their kid, wife, husband, mother, father, whoever, a really close friend. It could go after you through those people rather than going at you directly. Exactly. Again, it's all based on belief, guys. I'm like, I'm not saying
answer this question, Joe. Do y'all prefer going in cold and researching later, or vice versa? I know what Joe's answer is. I initially was doing the research before when I went to locations, and then I found that was too much priming for me because I was already expecting some things or knowing some things. I mean, we do some history tours or tours beforehand that they give us some experiences.
Because I want to hear it straight from them, not from other YouTubers.
To go on. And we do want to know some claims so that we can start, trying to experiment like what the claims are. So I think it's half and half. Like I will look more into it before Joe will, and then I'll tell him, and then and you pretty much, Joe, right? Afterwards, you like to dive into the research.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to know anything about the place beforehand. I may hear things here and there, whatever, but I just want to go in basically blind. I want to hear what the owner says. I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. Because again, when you look at people who claim they've done research on locations, it could be an online blog, and here's this story about some thing about a location, but it's not true. You're getting bad information, and a lot of people believe that. And then you got the certain YouTubers out there, again, who spitting out like history and stuff like that, and people take it at face value, believing it's real, but it's not. It could either be done on purpose, or maybe they forgot, mixed things up, and put it out there. I want to hear it straight from the location owner or whoever's there that night. I want to hear it from them.
And now, Joe, of course, my picture's not up here, but I have gone back and researched where, like, I will look back into, well, I'm going to give an example. There was a location owner where I went back, way back, the very beginning of where they ever put anything out. And I saw the live streams and the videos they were putting out of how they investigated. And it was relying on a K2 meter and a REM pod for evidence and for history.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell the story about how somebody tried to do an exorcism on a door. Anyways.
No, no. But like when I was like, oh, they're relied upon for history, but this is how they investigated. And this is how they claimed they were never a paranormal investigator beforehand, that to me was like, okay, I need to see how did they come up with all this? And I went way back. Like I tracked all the way back, like years and years. And we're talking, I'm thinking more than 10 years I tracked them. And that takes a lot of work. That's this research part that we're talking about. And I came across videos and things where I'm like, you seriously thought the REM pod going off and the K2 hitting on your question was an answer to when this property existed, who this person was that was there? That was your answer? What? And I was dumbfounded because I assumed that the person had knowledge. That I was told they had knowledge and they passed this on and to multiple people and or hundreds of people at times. And I'm like, what is going on here? They're no better than the average Joe just showing up with the equipment and thinking that everything that happens exists. They're not questioning it. They're not going and finding the records. And that to me is just so alarming because they were the owner of this location. And when I found that, it was like, yeah, I'm not going to trust a word they say. I'm going to have to do my own research.
And do an exorcism on a door.
There you go.
Oh. I
Hey, we
right
only have
back.
like 15, 20 minutes left, and people.
This is Raw Side Paranormal, Dom. This thing could go on for 4 hours.
Wrong side is dying slowly.
So we're losing a lot of people to sleep deprivation. So anybody got any other questions? I know. What do you guys? Well, your immediate plans. What are the immediate plans right now?
Whoop somebody's ass.
No.
Yeah.
And
Anybody we know?
and then figuratively speaking, right now, September, we're going to be.
No, we have one a little bit before, maybe July, August-ish.
Maybe I haven't heard anything about that one yet, but
Yeah.
maybe.
And I may have to move that one, but we'll see.
But so we have one in September, which will be really cool. That's one that we'll be able.
Hey,
to
that's a
mark off the
bucket
list.
list we can mark off our bucket list, Joe.
Right, that's right. And for the person watching,
Mark it off your bucket list.
mark it off your bucket list.
Once you go, you can mark it off.
Anyways. Oh. But anyhow, and that's it for right now. Dawn with her injury, she's like doesn't have an income. And I'm trying to do my best. And I just recently got a car. I traded my car that had almost 300,000 miles.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I kind of use it as a trade, but yeah. So at least I only have 1.5 payments left on this car, and I'm thinking about flipping it to get something even newer. Thinking about it, and then eventually they could flip me into getting something brand new. But my credit sucks because I had to go and get had to do the credit care thing because I needed dental work, and for some reason that I don't know why I'm making the payments, but that hit my credit hard. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, I just got the damn thing. Why did my credit drop 100+ points? What the hell? But
it's how that works. It's ridiculous.
It is, yeah. It makes no sense to me at all. But hey, you're not making the payments at least, and they're on time, so whatever.
So, counts. It'll go back up. But yeah, once you use your credit, it goes down, and then as you start doing your payments, then it slowly goes back up.
Right.
It's the dumbest thing. James wants to know if you can juggle.
No. I can.
Juggle what?
Well, I definitely can't with 2 bad arms. So
My
I
balls.
can't even juggle my camera right now.
You got to get yourself a stand or something for it.
Well, I do have one. Joe gave me one, and then he gave me back the one I gave him, but I just don't have a good place for it where I have to sit.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
But you know, right now, I want to get out there and I want to investigate, but just there's a lot going on, and the expense, you know, it is what it is. But we'll get back into the grind of things. Just
Yeah, well, after, especially after this big thing that a project we've worked on for a while, our goal is to really hit things hard, and get back in the groove, like what we're used to. So
Right. Well, it's taking up a lot of your time, and hopefully it all turns out well. And
we're gonna mark more things off our bucket list, Joe.
that's right, morons.
Mark it off. Once you go, you mark it off,
that's about it.
or you go back if you want to.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Visit, well, like I said, it's the expense.
Well, some are one and done. And for most things, when we say we'll mark it off for personal reasons, it's the time and effort and the distance. We won't always go to certain states. Like the Conjuring House, we got engaged there. Am I going to go back? No, unless something changes. And there's this immense activity going on where we got to go back after new ownership. I don't know. But right now, no.
Yeah, the Conjuring House is the only location I have ever said, don't go. And it's for your own safety. But it's shut down right now anyway, so.
Yeah, but
and it's been really quiet on that end. We haven't heard any new updates on what's
She's
going
gonna
on.
lose the house.
No, it's back and forth. But even then, I wouldn't want to celebrate our anniversary of our engagement there because it doesn't matter.
Oh, no.
It doesn't matter. And it's too far away. You don't understand. You guys do not understand how many toll tickets I received from 3 different states after I visited there. Because when we went, the bridge in Baltimore, Maryland had fallen.
Yep. Yep.
We
were
had
supposed
so
to
many
take that bridge.
detours. We had so many detours from our tour,
Wow.
the normal GPS, that we didn't know that there were tolls. And you can go through the line, but then they sent me my license plate and said, "Oh, you owe this toll." 3 different states. And it equates to probably $350, $400. And I'm like, but you all made us reevaluate where we were going because we weren't allowed to go this way. It's not fair. I tried to fight a few of them, and I've had to pay out the wazoo for tolls that I shouldn't have to pay for. And I am so glad I don't live where there are a bunch of tolls.
It's so weird because we took the bridge there and we couldn't take it on our way back because it collapsed.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and they charged me almost $400 from 3 states.
Shit.
Yeah, and the GPS was like, take this section. We're like, we can't. The bridge is gone. We can't do it. And again, make a U-turn, and they're like, no.
In the middle of the water. We've been there on that one.
Well, and we had to get Seg back to a different location. We had to go out of our way to make sure he got back to his place.
Right.
So, our normal destination would have been a totally different route, but where we had to take him back.
No, because we were actually we got taken out of because the bridge collapsed. It ended up being out of the way, but on our way there, where we had to pick Seg up, was literally on the way. We just had to get off the highway.
On the way back, when we took him back, it took us every other way that we could possibly imagine, and we just followed it. And it never said tolls are due and oh, you gotta pay.
Oh yeah, and it automatically takes you on the toll roads. Yeah. Automatically. Dave wants to know Bay Bridge or the Key Bridge.
I don't even remember. Whatever one fell.
Yeah, in March of 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2024.
Wow.
Not 1 year ago. That it was in Baltimore, I think.
Jeez. Oh,
Um,
I had one time we were traveling on our way back from Missouri and we had to take toll roads and we paid at every one while we were going through them. And then I ended up getting a bill in the mail.
So we
from
the
some-
Key Bridge. Yeah, whichever
You
one
go-
collapsed.
Yeah, I had to pay for something that we already paid for again.
Yeah, and I get so mad about it because like I shouldn't have to sit there and pay for things that they should like be okay with like people that didn't know any better. Because I called every time that I received a letter. I'm like, I don't understand this. Like I only went the way it told me to go. There was no toll here. Like, and they're like, oh yeah, but there was. And
what
were you supposed to do? Throw the money out the window into a bush?
That's at strip joints. But
Joe, shut up.
My mistake.
But what kills me is I did this one time. I went to a location, didn't take the toll roads, whatever. Came back. I went back to that location, decided not to take the toll. And I'm like, you mean to tell me that it was a 5-minute or maybe a 10-minute shorter drive do the non-toll than it did the toll? Like, and then they happened to us years ago when we went to Florida when my grandfather passed away. They was like, oh, we're in a hurry, just do the toll, it'll get us there faster. Now, as it turned out, it was actually faster not to take the toll because we didn't on our way back. And my dad's like, the fuck? Like,
yeah,
this was fast.
We always take the truck routes now if we travel anywhere.
It's like crazy.
It is. It's insane. And then they're always trying to shove that easy pass thing down everybody's throat. And we don't travel that much anymore, so I don't really even need that.
Toll roads should not exist.
No, they shouldn't. Well, the whole thing for the toll roads here, the thruway, was that the reason they started taking tolls is because it was helped to build the road. Well, 50 years later, we're still paying tolls. I mean, come on.
Right. And
nothing. No, now it's all, they took out the toll booths, got rid of the people, fired all the people. Now it's all cameras and electronic. And if you have the Easy Pass on your windshield, it registers and then your account gets charged. If not, then you get a bill in the mail.
And the roads are still fucked up. Oh, we use it to make sure the roads are good. And it's like, no, these roads are terrible.
Yeah.
Where's the money going?
The only benefit of taking it is that you can do like 90 miles an hour.
And you still only save maybe 5-10 minutes off your trip.
Maybe. Yep, depending on where you are. So one time when we were coming back, my brother-in-law was a truck driver. And he goes, here, take the truck roads. And he mapped it all out for us. And it was 1, 2, 3, and we were back. It was great. And didn't have to pay a dime.
Oh.
Yeah. Any questions, guys, before we let these two escape and go rest for the evening?
Yeah, I need to eat dinner.
Oh, Joe's hungry.
I'm fat. I like food.
I need to still eat too. Usually I eat by now, but I haven't.
I hurried up and shoved a piece of pizza down my face before I got on, so it holds me over.
Yeah,
So
well, you said this was a banger. I'm like, Laura, settle down.
Yeah. Well, it is. Hey, you got to bring them in, And it's just not just that. I know everybody that's interested in the real deal and the research, they were going to show up anyway. And we appreciate you all for hanging out with us. And like I said, any questions, if you don't have them tonight, you guys could always message these two and they will answer any question that you have.
No, don't
whenever
message. Don't message me.
or Joe
You
decides
can
to go
message
live at any
me.
time.
I don't get a lot of messages. You can message me.
Every
Message
time I get a
Dawn.
message, I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Now we're all gonna message you just because.
Yeah, you can message me.
Oh God. Thanks for joining, everybody. We all appreciate it. And remember, please subscribe, like, all the bells and whistles. You know how it works. Until then, always remember to live life a little bit on the raw side, guys. Everybody have a great night.